in the final analysis, subtopics to the one big topic, Westernization. Each one of these topics, even if we discuss Korean politics, one has to discuss it in terms of basically Americanization. Each one of these topics. It's amazing. Now, I want to discuss, I want to throw out an idea that I don't know if it's commonly regarded in this light or not by Koreans or Americans. But this sudden withdrawal of American troops, 4,000 I think, about a week ago, unilateral, without consulting the Korean government. What's going on here? It seems to me there are two aspects of this, and one is economics. Bush has problems financing his war, and it's got to be financed. So I assume that many of those troops who have been withdrawn are being sent to Iraq. Why? Because it's cheaper to send professional soldiers there, because in Korea, of course, we have only professional soldiers, than all these civilian companies with their mercenary little, very experienced, very tough guys who are roaming all over Iraq and who are not under the control of the American military. It's incredible. It's very expensive, and it leads to ridiculous overlappings, confusion, misunderstandings, lack of communication. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I assume this is a slap on the hand to Roh Moo-hyun and his government. His government is, I would characterize it, and I don't know, but I've heard this, as vaguely anti-U.S. Okay. How long should the U.S. tolerate such nonsense? I mean, here we are in your country. We can go any time. Just let us know when you want us to go. Be serious. Be serious. There are good enough reasons to be anti-American in a kind of sentimental sense. But if it comes to politics, that's suicide. That's suicide. And this withdrawal of troops was a reminder, an attempt to sober this anti-American sentiment that has kind of expanded lazily, sporadically for about 2.5 years now, since well before the World Cup. It was fueled by such absolutely absurdly insignificant events as the Winter Olympic snatching of the gold medal from the Korean skater, and this was done by an Australian judge, as I recall. It wasn't even an American who did this, but the recipient was the infamous Japanese American. Onu was his name, I think. Okay, is this a reason to be anti-American? Get serious. In a serious world where 10 million guns are pointed toward South Koreans, where huge bombs and a huge war machine are aimed only in one direction, at you, a skating race is not serious. And yes, I'm sorry, but the tank running over those two girls, in the end, in a serious world, is not serious. I know that was a horrible thing, and I know that some absurd people, in my opinion, actually think that those American soldiers did this intentionally, that they tried to kill those girls. I heard someone actually say that. I think that's so absurd, that's contemptible. But in a serious world, that tank accident is not serious. Not when the death of 5 to 10 million South Koreans is a possibility if the North attacks. Not serious. And even the drunken driving incidents and the rape of a girl and things like this that happen in this with this male army in your country. It's regrettable that you and others need U.S. support. This U.S. support, I want to add something else. Why do we do this? Because it's in everyone's best interest. It's in ours, it's in yours, it's in Japan's, it's in China's, it's in the world's best interest that peace be maintained here. It's even in North Korea's best interest. In the end, a North Korean attack, which would result in the deaths of, I assume, 5 to 10 million South Koreans, would be suicide. There would be nothing left of North Korea, and everybody knows it. In a serious world, the sudden withdrawal of 4,000 troops is not going to produce a North Korean attack. A North Korean attack remains an act of suicide. We will just level them. Our bombing resources, our military machine is just so devastating. And if we need more, we bring more. There would be nothing left of North Korea if they attacked, and everybody knows this. So let's be serious. No military consequences will result from that sudden withdrawal. And our leadership surely would not leave the remaining 33,000 Americans, soldiers, in danger of being run over and killed. Will our leadership really do that? No. This was a political move, and economic, as I say, to remind No Mu-hyun and his sympathizers, especially the young radical followers, of serious things in a serious world. And I think to temper, that's the word, to temper, I think my position will not be very welcomed by some Koreans, and you may stop liking me, I don't know. But as an American, I thought it was a very clever and much needed move, if that was its motivation. It sends a message to Koreans who are playing this anti-American game. It's a game. To be anti-American is to play games, to engage in silly games in a serious world. Play your game if you want, but consequences are huge, unimaginable, and clearly not being very seriously thought about by some people. Even if the U.S. withdrew all its troops, and sometimes I think we should, the military consequences and economic consequences, of course, are huge. Would be huge. It would mean that South Korea would spend millions more on tanks, planes, weapons. One consequence, I think, would be that young South Korean males would spend, instead of 2.5 years in the military, 3.5. And this would have huge economic repercussions, too, on the workplace. Those are a lot of productive males, not working in the economy, but in the military, preparing for some war that I still think would never take place. Why? Because once again, even if the U.S. were not here, a North Korean attack on South Korea would be an act of suicide. It would mean the deaths of so many. Of course, in my opinion, a few more South Koreans would die simply because it would take us longer to get here. A few more, by the way, means 500,000 to 1 million more, I suggest. Think about those million lives, and then think about the reasons for anti-American sentiment. Put them in the same plane. Just those millions. Is this serious? This is a game. The game is understandable because you feel like an occupied country. Would I like that? I wouldn't like that at all. I wouldn't like my occupiers, even if they were apparently my friends, even if their mission were to protect me and help me and prevent a war. So, such sentiment is understandable. Big brother, we're kind of a big brother, sometimes bully, maybe. Such sentiment is easy to understand, but in a serious world, it's a game. It's a luxury that no one can afford. We need to get along with each other, and our reasons are mutual. Economically, by the way, the U.S. spends billions to have troops here. I'm an example of that. I live in this house that the U.S. government pays for. I pay nothing. What it cost to keep me in this house for 12 years, that's a scary thought. That's a lot of money. A lot of money. And I'm just a little teacher. Add that, multiply that by thousands. So it's not only the 37,000 troops, but it's the 100,000 civilians who are also involved in this enterprise. The U.S. spends billions here. Do we get those billions back? Indirectly through trade. Indirectly. Now the South Korean government spends billions to keep us here too. It's a 50-50 deal as far as I can have heard. Another consequence, but I don't think we get it back. We get some of it back, of what we spend. A side aspect to our occupation here is our troops get a good chance to exercise on foreign soil in a land where war is a possibility. This is good for our troops, and that's a good benefit for us looking at this from an American point of view. But economically, this is a very costly venture. Why not withdraw? Withdraw to Japan or withdraw to Japan? Would it change much? Mostly the terrible effects would be on the Korean economy. I don't think war would be a bigger possibility, but the preparations for war would be so huge for South Korea. Not only that, but major companies, I think, would withdraw. They'd be afraid. No U.S., scary. This would perhaps lead to the collapse of the South Korean economy. Now, I assume everybody knows this. So to even say such a silly thing as U.S. out or something like that is to engage in a silly game. The rest of the game is our brothers in the North. The brothers with the 10 million guns aimed at you. The brothers who would wipe you out if they got the chance. The brothers who, if you reunited peacefully, would suppress your democracy, take it away, and multiply the number of prison camps, I think, and put you in them. No, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and it would be an incredible disaster if it did happen. For you, for everyone. As a side note, a reunited Korea would mean a nuclear Japan. A nuclear Japan would mean a really dangerous world. I don't think Japan is an aggressor. In a world where the U.S. is dominant, Japan cannot go around attacking people. Japan is never going to attack Korea. My God, the whole world would pounce on Japan. There'd be no more Japan. No one's going to attack anybody because it means war. It means a U.S. attack, frankly. A related topic, by the way, is Americanization good? And I think probably it is good, but I think I talked about it a couple of weeks ago. If I didn't, I want to talk about it sometime. I hate to say it, it's a little embarrassing, but the U.S. is an agent for much more good than harm in the world, I think. Because of U.S. monitoring, fewer wars take place, and only minor wars have taken place, but I won't get into that topic. Anyway, thank you.